Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on a Thursday for a change. Hey boys.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Fantastic.
Hey Rob. I hope we can get his mic working this time.
He's just a listener right now. It's just it's off the cuff. What can we expect?
It is very off the cuff. See, since the last time I spoke to you, which is about 8 minutes ago, I've been frantically looking for an old school USB cable and I just can't find it.
That's okay.
That's all I've been doing in the last 8 minutes.
I'll let you hang your face out of the train.
We'll keep that joke for Divi Uncensored when we do that one day.
Divi Uncensored, it's that.
Yeah. I hope everyone's having a good week, and always good to have you.
Maybe you need to make Rob a host. Oh, he's just requested.
Yeah, I'll let him in. Let's see. Hey, Rob. Oh, connecting. Let's go.
I got you.
Ah,
I'm here.
Yeah.
Bluetooth.
Yay. We are all in. So we're going to have a very off-the-cuff spaces today, quite different what we were. Not very different, but a bit more informal than usual. We've been thinking about a lot of things over the last few weeks. Obviously, we've been having... Rob, do you mind going on mute for a second? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we've been having these spaces for quite a long time now, and we usually do that on a Friday. So we've been thinking about what can we do to change things up a bit to try and get more people in. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be a discussion. So if any of you want to jump in, talk with us, do raise your hands, and I'll let you in. And then we'll have a bit of an update as well. But let's get ready to it, right, boys?
I have to unmute myself now.
Oh.
Well, I do. I send my sound through a soundboard, so it keeps it. So I just hit a button, but that's kind of lame anyway. You guys don't need to know that. So what we've been talking about is all hinging on getting information out of changes coming in the future. I mean, most things we're talking about are blockchain related, how that impacts everyone. And there's some big stuff coming, and Twitter Spaces, which is really cool. I like it because we can jump on in the moment and go ahead and stream. But some people don't have Twitter. I mean, everybody here has Twitter, but we have other opportunities on other channels and other networks. And when we're talking about things coming and things that people should know so they know how to participate and take advantage of and all these great things, we should be on multiple platforms. Well, that poses a little bit of difficulty if we're just on Twitter. We can no longer just share Twitter easily and download it and post it to YouTube. And so in some podcast knowledge that I have some tool sets. And I was just talking to, I've been talking to Ranuk and I've been talking to Rob, and I was saying it would be great, even if we're going to Zoom call or anything like this, if we could stream it live to multiple platforms at one time, and those platforms then could store it, save it, however they want to do it, and then everybody can rebroadcast and share. So my thoughts were first, and of course this comes with input from everyone here that's on this. I'm thinking first, as we start moving forward to these future things that we really want to talk about, is we'll start off with Twitter and YouTube, and then we could probably start branching off onto other channels and just get them all going at the exact same time. I think it's important that we do that. That's my input, of course.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say something, but then I started sneezing. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Just to reiterate, I think this is important. It's kind of neat. So I think we should put our apologies right now. We're using this Spaces to try to test out multi-platform broadcast. So that this is all, as Bush said, this is all in preparation for future things that are happening, so that we can have a greater reach. It's kind of like messaging apps. Like, you meet somebody new, and then nobody wants to use the new messaging app, and you're stuck with 12 messaging apps. So we're trying to hit many platforms at once because, like, I for one actually don't even like Spaces that much, but so that's just me. But if we can get on Spaces and YouTube and whatever else there is, I don't even remember the other platforms that are important. Then, it's easier to spread the knowledge around, especially as things change or good things start happening. We want to make sure that it gets delivered to everybody. And it's not a whole thing of, hey, well, can you summarize Spaces for me? Because I didn't get there because I hate Spaces.
Yeah. Or it's more like I don't have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Because Twitter, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, we all obviously have accounts on this platform. But there's a large portion.
Yeah, but mine looks like a spammer.
You are a scammer, but that's another conversation. But some people, for whatever reason, politically, privacy, or otherwise, don't want to be on X, Twitter. But they'll happily join another platform like YouTube because you don't have to necessarily log in to do things, or other platforms. I mean, most of them require some type of an account, but not all of them. And if we can broaden that reach, and it's successful, right? That means it streams well. And I guess successful is measured in many different ways. But if you're on YouTube and you get 1 million views, and let's say you're on, I don't know, BitChute, Rumble, I'll just start rambling off different names of different platforms, library. And if you stream on those and you get an extra 2 people that see it and are curious about it, I'll take those 2 people, especially if it doesn't cost a lot of labor and time to get there, right? I mean, since I'll be setting it up, I hope to make it turnkey, but it would be great to get information out.
Absolutely. And I think also, like, it also opens up other opportunities. We can do more things with it. We can actually show visuals. Because right now we are quite limited as to, if you're joining on desktop, you can't even do the reactions. Like, so I think that makes a huge difference as well when we want to share graphs or whatever.
Yeah, and that's true, because this isn't a replacement for Alive at 5, of course, because those will still have, those are very different, right? I mean, I think the Live at 5s are very different.
Yeah.
And I think that, Nick has, what was it, the Space Before Last or whatever, the one before that one, Nick and you were talking about doing one, right? Doing a Live at 5-ish, at least, kind of a YouTube video. These are more casual. These are more open. And these can be anything from information to just community participation. These spaces should be shared everywhere, especially when we have knowledge, like when Josh comes on and people have a question about a DeFi platform. It's terrible that it's just locked to Twitter. It's terrible that it can't be shared everywhere. There is important information that we may share that's developmental related, and then it's shared here. May even be tweeted on Telegram and Discord. And we have 12, 16 people on this off-the-cuff call. I'll be honest with everyone here. The majority of our coin owners, and I really mean the majority, I'm talking about probably 80% of everyone in our community is not on Telegram, is not on Discord. They never even shine anywhere light in any of those channels. They have no care. They have no concern. It's totally unimportant for them. So, I mean, that's the other thing we have to pay attention to. There are other channels and other groups that we can share information with. A lot of us here are focused on some of the instant messaging platforms and media. You already know I'm a fan of those. That's what I like, because I like to do support and in the moment like that. But most of the community that I talk to by voice on concierge calls, I'm probably hitting about 600 this year. Most of those people they've never even joined Discord. Yeah, that's they get information from other people, and it would be good.
Absolutely. And I think this way we can make sure that we are hitting as many people as we can of our community, as well as new people.
Exactly.
So I think that makes a big difference. And I think the other thing, we want to talk about is the day we have the spaces as well. Because I think changing that would also kind of give us extra reach and extra opportunities to talk to people. And I think, Rob, we were talking about that earlier. I think if you want to share some thoughts on that too.
Sorry, I was talking with my mic off. Apparently, maybe in our future methods here, since won't have to use spaces, maybe I don't have to do that.
Yeah, if you just join a stream like we have on Zoom, you won't have to log into Spaces at all. It would be through the medium I'm using to bridge everything together, and then stream it out to each of those platforms all at the same time. Is there risks to these kinds of things? There is. Anytime you use an external service, anytime I use an external piece of software, I hate to use the word, but it centralizes it. And so look, it's one we all understand.
I think it's okay. It's not people's money.
It's exactly. It centralizes it. And so let's say, even if you have a paid platform or you have a free platform, if that platform or even your local computer has a little bit of a hiccup, it can affect the stream across all the channels. So there are.
Okay, so we're using this to kind of like try out this multi-platform thing. That's it. But behind the scenes, Voice is futzing with that right now. So does anybody want to ask any questions about anything?
Yeah.
Because we just need to be chatting here. And right now, this is what we're focused on so that we can be ready for stuff in the future. So inviting questions.
Yeah, and I think while people put their hands up as well, like we want to try and do this on a Thursday going forward. It's going to help us, make a big difference, I think, on that side as well, rather than when we're already on to the weekend. But that's another one.
Yeah, I've missed a few because of that. So it's actually, it definitely works better for me. I hope it works better for other people.
Yeah. You don't have to hear the music in the background from a cafe when I'm usually talking.
Yeah, right. I've missed a few because of that. So it's actually, it works better for me. I hope it works better for other people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we're not going to talk about anything
in the background from a cafe when I'm...
right.
No, I think it's echoing what I said earlier. From what?
Yep. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
I think the idea is that we are testing it out. Yeah, we are testing it out to see how it's all coming through, and then we are good for next week, hopefully, once we kick things off.
Well, I can relate something that's been fascinating me recently, and Voice knows, but it's not necessarily Divi related specifically. If nobody minds, I don't know if you guys have heard about this BitVM thing. I think it's super cool.
Of course I know. I shared it. I shared the link with you.
Yeah, you shared it with me. Yeah. So, you shared it before I saw any of it on Twitter or anything else.
I'm in another community, so I get to nerd out a little bit. So
it's pretty neat. So one of the biggest complaints about, and I think a valid complaint about Bitcoin in and of itself, is that yes, it's the best, store of value, basically an asset that you can rely on. But it's very limited in its scope of use, and they say, like the Bitcoin, supporters say, well, it's money; it can be used for anything, and that's true. But really, what we as humans and sovereign humans is we want to continue spread out the maintenance of our sovereignty beyond holding. And as soon as you engage in a service right now, as soon as you engage in a service with Bitcoin or want to trade it for something, the methodology becomes custodial immediately. With the exception of Lightning. So if you're just using a payment channel, I guess that's still stuck to the payment to the Bitcoin network. So that's good. But anything else, and you can definitely make a case that most everything else that's like on Ethereum or whatever is garbage, and you would be right, but not all of it. And so as people want to do or get back into lending after all the scam lending. I mean, fundamentally, if you've got a financial system, you're going to need a lending system. And you want that lending system to be just as non-custodial and just as trustless as the asset you're lending itself. And so the abilities to do that kind of thing, or putting stuff into liquidity pools for other assets and so forth. As soon as you do that, Bitcoin you lose your sovereignty to some degree with Bitcoin, in that you have to represent it on another network because Bitcoin can't do the things, right? So liquidity pools on Bitcoin itself is not a thing. So you have to represent Bitcoin on another platform, like Ethereum or Polygon or one of those things. And that thing, that bridge, is in general where the custody happens. And so it becomes a non-sovereign asset because you're now trusting the bridging solution there to move from one thing to another. They've gotten better, right? It used to be some dudes holding, multi-sig wallets, and now it's a bunch of machines that are like, it's basically a bunch of machines that are in a network that are holding a multi-sig wallet, and those machines are owned by people. So it's fundamentally it's the same thing. I would definitely make the case that that's better. So all of the newest ways of getting one coin off a network and represented on another one, the methodology for that has gotten better, but it's still
I would say a root canal is worse than a cavity filling. So it's either way, it's still not good. But yes,
right, right. Or politicians, right? You vote for lesser evil, and it's still evil.
That's another topic.
So there's that. So the big news here is this BitVM, which is a Bitcoin virtual machine, grants abilities to Bitcoin that it didn't previously have. And those are very Ethereum-like. And I thought the coolest part of it, and this is the part that actually blows me away, there's no change to Bitcoin to make that happen. So there's no fork, there's no soft fork, there's no nothing. So it's kind of cool. It's almost as if Bitcoin is like this, it's almost like dark matter in some way. Like we're researching it and we're discovering things about it, which, brings me back to my original contention like 10 years ago. I was like, this was handed to us by aliens.
That's going to go off in a different direction.
Yes. For all of our listeners who believe in aliens and clones, Rob is right there with you.
So it's so people are still discovering things about it in a way that it doesn't have to change, and new fundamental features are possible now that were not possible a week ago. So that, with all of that said, so there's this, and it kind of like now all the Bitcoin people are like, yay, we have virtual machine too. Now you really don't need Ethereum. So like, I don't know if they're shooting themselves in the foot, like now admitting like the functionality and that Ethereum was provided is actually something that the crypto world does need. Finally saying that, it's just, now it's a Bitcoin one, so it's okay. So that's the cool part about BitVM. I don't even know how they're pronouncing it these days. I say BitVM, but it's Bitcoin virtual machine. That it's really early. So if you can imagine smart contracts being deployed on Ethereum without Solidity, right, without the programming language to do it.
Well, think back to the DAO. Back to the DAO.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
So this is before all of that. In fact, they are like the group that came up with the BitVM is now deploying, getting things like, this is how we do, this is greater than that. Like that's
they're in the basics. Actually, so it's even proto DAO. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're programming in assembly. We're not even at C, much less Python. I mean, we are. It's way early. People are making a lot of claims. There are some things, like, I'm no expert on this. I've done a lot of reading on it because it's been fascinating me. But I definitely am not an expert on this. But currently limited, and in its current limitations, even when you look out, there's a lot of things that it still won't be able to do. And that's the list. Maybe I'll talk about that another day, but that's the list I'm trying to resolve right now. Like, the thing about being, Ethereum's big claim is like it's Turing complete, which means something specific, and it means that the programming or the scripting is capable of doing certain things. And some of those things, there's like 16 things. Some of them are looping. Some of them are things you may not even want to do on a world machine, a world computer. Things that Turing complete. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there was a reason why that scripting languages on Bitcoin were purposefully not made Turing complete. Satoshi spoke about it. I mean, there's a reason.
And so there's some things that can get you in trouble. I guess there's, like all languages, there are things that monitor it to make sure you don't get, you have a way out of a hole. But the important part of BitVM is really most of it, unlike Ethereum, most of it is really happening off-chain. Really, and here's the fascinating part to me, is like I've talked to our blockchain engineer when, I'm trying to still come out with this article about deploying subscriptions. And the part that really, for me as a not blockchain engineer, as a user of blockchains and want to make tools for blockchains, I was very frustrated because the subscription abilities are in there. Utilizing the subscription abilities are not blockchain commands. So you don't say, link or I don't know, subscribe to this address, and then the subscription thing happens. What actually happens is, I hope I can explain this correctly, is we off-chain, I set up a subscription with you, and off-chain, we're messaging each other information about the subscription. I hope our engineer doesn't kill me for this destruction of this explanation, but off-chain, we are creating a subscription. On-chain, we're proving to each other that bits of the subscription have happened. So time has elapsed, or some other thing was met. And that is what releases funds from the subscription. So it's an off-chain, on-chain proof thing. And the way I'm understanding BitVM is it's very similar. So most of the BitVM stuff happens off-chain. There's messaging to the person that you are doing the virtual machine stuff with, so that the proofs of the things that have happened happen on-chain. And any transfer of funds happen on-chain by proving that I say this part has happened, and then there's basically a cryptographic proof on the other side that allows funds to go out. One of the big complaints about BitVM, as I understand it right now, is that it's really a two-party system, much like the subscriptions that are in the Divi blockchain. There's optimism that it could be a multi-party system, which is what you see on Ethereum. So it's really neat. It's very proto. And I think with work, and I think with the enthusiasm that we're seeing in the Bitcoin crowd, I think we're going to see a lot of improvement of that over the next, couple of years. But there's not a thing. It's not like ordinals. Like ordinals came out, and then all of a sudden there's all these NFTs on Bitcoin. This is going to take a lot longer.
I think the point is what because I read over it too, but what is your impression of what we can do that gives us more offerings? Is it something that allows us to do something greater than, let's say, RGB, which is an on-chain, which would be a fork in Bitcoin? This is the virtual machine off. What kinds of things could we do on this?
So I think most of the talks about escrow and contracts type of things,
which is something we already have. By the way,
it's in Divi, yeah.
We already have escrow.
Yeah. And the escrow that's in Divi is along the same lines I just described. A lot of it happens off chain, but the release of funds is what happens on chain.
So it's
approved to release.
So it's a virtual machine over Bitcoin. We have it native in the heart of our core, where we can do subscriptions, we can do refunds, we can do escrow, we can do all sorts of things, and that's what your article is going to be coming out on.
Yeah, that's what my article is. When I wrap my mind around it better. So there's more. So what we have in Bitcoin, what we have in Divi is really very specific use cases. And what this is kind of like, the idea here is that it will be open to virtually, like the claim is it'll be everything, but I think that's a little overstating it. I think so for example, like you can set up a sidechain, but that's a multi-party system. And I think that can't happen without custody immediately. I can't predict what will happen in 2 years.
So that's different than what our smart contract system can do, which is where we can deploy sites that are not custodial.
Right. So I think there are limitations. I can't speak to them because I'm not knowledgeable enough yet. I think I've just spoken the extent of my knowledge. I did my best. But the claim is really like a lot of the stuff that involves finance in particular and two-party contracts. And so that can be flexible, off-chain and proved on-chain with funds moving on-chain is really what's happening there. If there's anybody listening who knows more than me about this, I'm happy to learn, but I'm pretty sure I got this part of the gist correctly, and hopefully as I move along, trying to understand it better, I'll understand more about the limitations and the abilities, like what will be the first thing they make, and most of the excitement on virtual machine platforms like Ethereum and Cosmos and so forth is really around liquidity pools and DeFi kind of stuff. And I'm actually not sure you can get there yet. You definitely can't get there right now, but I'm not even sure that's in the short term with BitEVM. So we'll have to see. I say BitEVM, it's a BitVM. There's no E, which stands for Ethereum. So definitely not that one.
Rob had his rant. He's going on about Bitcoin. We were like, this just so everybody's listening. Ranuk and I were like, let's have a short call.
I got excited about something.
I was just thinking, like, while Rob was talking, we should do the off-the-cuff one more often, because we could talk about, what else is happening, what any excited about. And I think that way, everybody in the community as well, you can just come up and we can talk about, anything you've seen that it really interested you. Yeah, I think that'd be quite
good idea. That's a fun thing.
Yeah, I think most of should end up that way.
Yeah, if people are interested, obviously, if nobody's interested,
just us chatting.
We can just all three just sit here and chat about all sorts of stuff. People can join, that's fine. But it's good if you get interactions.
I see people in here. Well, you guys have anything that you're interested about?
No.
It could be sports.
I
gotta say, most of the stuff that's on Twitter right now, I'm exhausted. I don't want to talk about.
I just go on the BBC website and literally go to the sports page. I don't go to the front page. It's depressing. And
I don't even like sports.
I used to start the day going on the crypto websites. Now I've limited that too because often it's depressing as well.
Yeah.
Rob says he doesn't like sports, but then he does a sport called Ironman, which few people in the world.
Yeah, it's the most extreme.
Yeah, but nobody watches me.
That's true. We'll start streaming you. We'll follow you with a drone.
We can send Rob to chess boxing. So you do a round of chess and then you do a round of boxing. And
is that a real thing?
Yeah. It happens in London. Yeah. We do
chess,
crazy things.
Boxing.
Yeah. Oh look, Rob lost again.
Yeah, Rob lost again, both at chess and at boxing.
Yeah, and then you can explain side chains and BitVM to everybody.
Yeah.
They'll go to sleep and then they'll say, "I need to box that guy."
I think so let's I think we should do one of these once in a while so we can talk about other things as well, because otherwise often we're just talking about Divi and of course that's what we are here to do. But I think
there is cool stuff in crypto happening.
Yeah.
Even despite this bear, and like it's a meme now where you build during the bear, but no, very few people are really doing that. But, crypto remains like 95% scams. But like there are cool things that are happening. I mean, Lithium was one, and maybe next time I'll come up with some other stuff and we can kind of talk about that stuff. Obviously, the SBF trials are interesting. I mean, what a shit show that was.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Did you guys?
What an utter embarrassment.
Is that a real channel? The person that's following, he says he's in the courtroom. That's the awful Jesse account. Is that a real account? Does anybody know?
I have no idea.
No.
I don't know. Whatever's coming out of there is. I mean, I gotta tell you, I'm a little. My favorite person on the internet right now, crypto related. I like CoffeeZilla, and he's there reporting on stuff. So I've had a trust issue with almost everybody on social media, but he's gotten past my my defenses on that one. And he's there talking about it. I mean, he was right there trying to help bust him in the first place. So, but it's really, I mean, it's unbelievable what's coming out of there. It's just, a bunch of children, playing with numbers. I mean, I can't describe it any other way. It's utter moron.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, that account is called Inner City Press. Does anybody know about that? I don't know if it's just, it says Matthew Russell Lee for Inner City Press covers UN, banks, IMF. I'm assuming it's a real account, and he actually is reporting. If you haven't followed it, so this is good for sharing. By the way, CoffeeZilla, if you don't watch CoffeeZilla's account on YouTube, Rob is correct. The guy is on spot on most of the things, and he definitely calls things out. If you haven't watched one of his shows, go to YouTube and take a peek. In this one, we're talking about FTX, and we're totally digressing. The Inner City Press account on YouTube, it's at Inner City Press. From what he says, right, I don't know this person, I don't know the account, maybe somebody else here does. He seems to be in the courtroom, and in one article, which somebody may be able to prove, somebody posted a tweet to me, an image of it, and it actually said that the FTX devs had the ability to shut down Solana. So it was that, and is that, and still is that centralized. That devs can do these things. Yeah, so they said that was one of their cross-examinations or questions, and so it's not just crypto where they were using crypto from clients, which they are now on stand. Ellison actually saying that SBF said take the crypto out of FTX to pay back the loans at Genesis, right? It's there. It's in court. That's her testimony, and now her testimony is also that they at whoever it was, which company, FTX, I think is the devs there, had the ability to shut down Solana. Yep. Yeah, that's.
I wonder what that entails. I have no idea. I've been just following like the whole idea that they were cool with dipping into their customer accounts is like how. I can't figure out how dumb or evil you have to be to just think, hey, this is okay. As long as the total doesn't go to zero, we're okay.
Sure, I think it comes down to an awareness, right? These individuals just were in their own bubble, and when you're that disconnected from everything, you do strange things like steal people's money, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it kind of goes back to kind of like, grant power to all but very few people who are granted immense power through wealth or through, force behave, all of a sudden start behaving differently. Like, you see it over and over again. And I think these dorks fell into a bunch of money and they're like, hey, we can do anything. I mean, that's my naive, innocent version of that. The other version of that is that, they knew exactly what they were doing and were trying. The guy was thinking about running for president. Like that kind of thing. He said something like, I have a 5% chance of being president. Like, what kind of person just thinks that way? Not what I would be a good president, not I would make these rules. Like, these are things that people discuss normally, or what the president should do. But, like, just to think, like, somehow it's based on chances and based on, like just his hair. I mean, what? It's bizarre to me. I'll never understand that mindset. I'll never understand it.
All right. I'm just going to go back because I was quoting this guy, Inner City Press. The centralized information came from another account, which is probably a troll account. And he's parroting what the Inner City Press is reporting in the courtroom. And he was the actual one who, Awful Jesse is the account that actually said the FTX turned it off. But it was a debate between Cohen and Ellison. A question from Cohen asking Ellison about Solana and how she wasn't a fan of it, but they went ahead and got into it anyway because Sam was really big into Solana. It was something around that. So my apologies for inferring they could be shut off if that's not an accurate statement.
And of course he was.
Yeah.
Because, it was all the rage. Like, I was one of those helium people, and they moved to Solana. I'm like, why would you move to a blockchain that stops? Like that just, they're having problems with their blockchains. I understand a move.
Sure.
I just don't understand a move to one that stops.
Well, you can't stop a blockchain unless it is totally centralized. It's just like,
I agree.
Even in the beginning when Satoshi was, if you have one dev and he's building it, and let's say you have two devs and they're building it, if one of them shuts their machine down, the blockchain stalls. So you need to have multiple people. In this case, you have a fail-safe button that shuts things down. Essentially, I'm making that up, but essentially, if it's DDoSing itself, if you can shut everything down, the fact that you can say I can shut everything down means it's centralized. In every blockchain, including Divi, there's nothing I can do, you can do, we can do, anyone listening can do to stop Divi's blockchain. It runs, and it just goes. Do forks happen? Absolutely. Do forks eventually die off? Absolutely. But it happens for the same reason that I just described. People stop supporting it. That's decentralization, where we run it together, and the only reason it stops being important is because we stop thinking it's important and we just turn off our machines. That's not possible on Solana. Solana needs those people involved, but it has this weird thing in it where those people can also stop the entire blockchain. That's weird to me. Right.
I've actually never even looked into how or why it stops. I just know it did.
It was DDoSing itself. So that's it's trying to do 1 million transactions a second, and those servers can't handle it. That's
okay. Yeah. So how goes the testing for the multi-platform bit? Are we?
We're good. We're good.
I heard myself echo or repeat a few times.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that.
That's all good. I think we all.
I guess.
Yeah,
I think we should. If there's any questions, we should take them. But otherwise, I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Absolutely, I think so. If there's questions, one question I have is, how many of you actually report that loser who keeps posting on our questions on our channel? Could someone show me that link to the DeFi money making method that people have been using? It's just this bot. It's everything.
Yeah, every time.
I don't know why Elon can't have a dev that looks for that exact word phrase, that string exactly, and just recognizes it and automatically bans that account. That's totally easy to do.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Yeah, they only care where the money is made for them.
Maybe.
I have no power.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I think it
All right, guys.
looks like there are no questions. So let's catch up next week again. I think with the multi-platform.
But let's recap on what our goals are, and so that way we end the call with that. The goal is to go to multiple platforms at once. It's not to keep us, quote, centralized on Twitter. It's to stream separately so we can stream separately to every platform. But there's a question of why. And why is that we want to stream to all those platforms? Rob, Renu, why is that we want to make sure we get it out there?
Absolutely. So not everyone's on Twitter, and so we extend our reach across all the platforms. I think we've had that feedback from a lot of people as well. And also it gives us other ways to share different types of content, like visual things.
Because there's really cool stuff coming. That's why we need to share it everywhere.
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is that we're going to move from a Friday to a Thursday. So we get, again, more people on a Friday. People have already, switched off for the weekend. They're not waiting around to wait for our Divi Spaces on a Friday evening. Yeah. Perfect. All right. I think that's been great. We should definitely do this again. Just do it off the cuff and talk about all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, but we'll just throw those out there. We'll just do one.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do the off the cuff plan. It's just
nope. It's literally off the cuff.
Exactly.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.